Have you ever taken less of a writing credit than you deserved?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Get ready for that. That's a norm.
Yo, oh my God. Yo, this business is crazy when it comes to that because people feel entitled and there's no way to prove it. Like you'll be in a room and you'll have a glass, you'll write a song, and then like 6 months later, Rihanna calls, and they want the song, and y'all need to do some splits, and then next thing you know, somebody in the corner that didn't say shit the whole night is like, yo man, I will go 50% of the song. Yo, I remember I was over there humming, I was like, and there's no camera, there's no nothing, you gotta work it out.
Yes. It's because what people don't realize is that holds up, money. Like if every person can't agree on the song, nobody gets paid out, you know what I'm saying? So, and I went through, a couple different, situations where out the blue, somebody was like, yeah, I co-produced the record. And it's like, dog, the beat was done before you even got here. You know what I'm saying? Like the music was done. So, it's, you gotta figure out what it is that you want. Saying like, if somebody says we want 10% of this record, whether or not they did much to, like if they're the artist, a lot of times, like a lot of artists nowadays, what they do is they be like, yeah, off rip, you're giving up 10% of this record, regardless of whether or not this artist had any contributions to it. To be honest with you, like 25, 30.
It depends on who it is. Again, if you work with a big writer, sometimes they're gonna come in and they're gonna take a big chunk, but a placement is gonna be priceless compared to the money. Like someone once told me, you can make more money off 10% of a hit record than 50% of an album cut. Yep. And really think about that. Like it's about making power moves, like making the right decisions. Like I've heard of songs where someone will try to sample and they'll take the whole percentage of the song. Like if I sampled like the Cranberries, for instance, that's one of the people I heard got sampled. They wanted 100%, which means nobody makes money off this. No, nobody. The producer might make a little bit of an upfront fee, but what's that?
The Cranberries do.
Yeah, the Cranberries do. And there was a Justin Bieber song that it happened to. They sampled the hook. It was like a hook part. It was just a hook, and they took the whole song. Okay. So it's all different. It's all, the way that we usually do it is like, it could be on anything. It could be on a napkin or something. And you just write the person's name and how much percentage. But I think that sometimes like waiting for the money, like, I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes you just don't want to mess up the vibe. You're just like, we'll talk about it later. But sometimes, man, when it comes back, and people forget, and even you forget, and you don't know. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
And what, not to cut you off, Rio, what the splits are is basically, when you're doing a split sheet, you're basically declaring your contribution to a record. So if there's, with songs, it's a product, it's 100%. If me and Rio co-produce on a record, we would split the production side of it, 50-50, depending on, that's where we would start at if we had equal contributions. Now, if I came in, 3 hours late to the session and all I added was a hi-hat, I'd be kind of flawed to ask them for 25% because at that point my contribution is less than half of the work. So let's say,
but some people feel like that hi-hat set it off.
Sets us off. That hi-hat in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Well, how do you tell that person?
Yeah. So, and let's say, JR and India wrote the record. Depending on how they come up with the song, is what how they would determine, how much or what their percentage is. So let's say, India was like, I came up with the melody. And to the verses, and that was it. And then JR was like, okay, well, I did the hook. Well, at that point, if they come to an agreement that we split it up 50-50, then that's what it is. I've had instances where the song was done and the only thing left to do was like, like the bridge. Well, at that point, the record is done. So, you could make claim at that point and say like, well, you only contributed, well, you definitely contributed less than half of 50, so you can't be at 20, 25, but it could be 10. It just all varies on, number one, the work that was done and the people involved in the work. Because if you work with, like you said, a bigger writer, they walk into the session knowing how much of the record they're getting before you walk in. So, you know, that's not up for debate at all. They sitting on millions. That record is not gonna make or break their pockets. Whereas now you're in a position to say, well, I wrote 25% of that song and they're asking for an additional, 15%. You know, I don't wanna leave with just, 10%. Okay, well, at that point, you've got to figure out whether or not 10% of this record that, like Mariah Carey wants to put on a record, or Celine Dion is about to drop an album and this is going to be the biggest song of her career, whether or not 10% is worth, or whether or not that 15% is worth missing that opportunity. Because again, I know people who haven't contributed much in terms of, the entire record, but they good for themselves. My working circle is very closed because I know that when it comes time doing splits, they not about to be like, yo, Sham, I beatbox that pattern that you had. So I don't mind not working with people that are, huge and famous and all of that. Like, I don't mind that. I would much rather work with, these guys, knowing that I can have a 15-year career, being able to call Rio, be like, yo, I got, a top line that, I might need some drums, or yo, JR, I got a first verse, but I don't have a second verse to this record. I love working with those kind of people because the common goal is to make great music, and that's the common denominator. And that goes back to, again, what your motive is. If money is what it is, and you don't like to share your money, you don't want to give up anything, you want to own 100% of everything, then share it. This is not the industry, because you don't have to share. You have to share in this industry, regardless of what. So
there are 3 people in my writing team, and we decided earlier on that we would split everything equally. So if I write a song by myself, they'll still, eat off of it. And I just think it's fair because we've been working together for so long that we've influenced each other's sounds, and, we've just learned a lot from each other. And for instance, I'm here working on my album, I'm writing the whole thing, but, it'll be under Full Circle, but I don't mind because they're in Los Angeles working hard, and I'm gonna eat off of whatever they play, so,
Great.